gardening, right? So watch the video now when you play it back, and it's a beautiful
I'm
thing.
Jimbo's dad. Where I grew up in the Santa Monica, Venice area. Um,
There's your cutaway. Now, here's the nice thing about putting it in track two. You can grab that clip with your arrow and say, I'd like it a little bit earlier. Maybe I want it a little earlier in the cut point. Or, well, in this case, you can't go later. Guess what? You still got your jump cut now.
his dad.
That's a goof, right? You want that to align at least at the cut point so it covers that jump cut. You got interesting content. It's a beautiful edit. Save your work, pat yourself on back, first cutaway done. Okay? Now I'm going to do Shift Z to bring all this stuff back into view and decide my next cutaway. Okay? I'm going to do support Jimbo. Okay? And after I do this one, all right, I think I will probably include some audio so you learn how to do that. You're going to make the last 1, 2, 3 cutaways because there will be 3 more jump cuts. See them? There's 1, there's 2, way over here, there's 3. This one is the one we'll do together. All right, so in this clip, he talks about supporting the boy.
Since Jimbo started surfing, it was obvious that he was talented at the sport, and the only thing I wanted to do was support him. So naturally, I'm proud to have a
Okay, I just made an audible. He talks about the support part way later in the clip.
since Jimbo started surfing, it was obvious that he was talented at the sport, and the only thing I wanted to do was support him. So
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm covering up this one with a high five between dad and son. Because if we start it about here and we end it somewhere about here, it'll make good sense. He's high fiving the boy, and the next clip he's talking about supporting kids. So actually being proud of the kids. So this will be a great edit. All right, now we're doing it differently. Okay, first of all, I'm unlocking my audio tracks. So you get to experience what it looks like to edit and target a different track. Okay, I'm also going to mark ins and outs in my timeline, and then one, point, probably use a playhead in the viewer. All right, so here's what I want. I'm going to play it, and I'm going to mark.
And the only thing I wanted to do was support him.
All right, so after he says the only thing I wanted to do,
the only thing I wanted to do was
I'm going to mark an endpoint. Did you know that? You can mark an endpoint in your timeline. If you don't like the endpoint, remember the shortcut? Option I deletes an endpoint. Okay? If you want to jump to an endpoint in the timeline, all bets are on. Shift I jumps me back to that endpoint. I just hit that when you weren't looking. So anyhow, that's where my cutaway is going to start. Okay, where do I want it to stop? Oh, I hit the space bar and I didn't see anything. I'm going to go to File Save. I should have been doing this more diligently. So
support him. So naturally,
all right, I'm going to mark an out point after he says, so naturally, him, ha, ah. Okay, I just went kind of by what I felt was appropriate. And then I'm going to look up here, right? I've marked 5 seconds and 21 frames. Now, your mileage will vary. We know that. But that tells me I better have a clip of the boy and dad high-fiving that's at least 6 seconds long, or I can't really use it, right? I got to have 5 seconds of cutaway, 5 seconds, 21 frames. So let's go and see what we've been dealt. All right, we have high five. There's a clip. All right, it's kind of awkward. I remember this one. Dad walks in and Jimbo doesn't see him, so he's holding his hand up forever. And then finally, they kind of get in tight with the cam. We get high five, so we can use what we want here. So I'm wondering if I have enough, if we start the clip here and stop right there. So I'm just gonna, I'm doing this. When Jim puts his hand up, I'm taking a look at this number. It's 1025. Okay, I'm gonna just kind of scrub through it and see where it stops at. I'm doing math in my head. 1025, high five. Camera comes back up. The dad stopped there. 1324. Ooh, that's only like 3-4 seconds. So it's not the best shot. Okay, there's an old adage in video: garbage in, garbage out. You got to work with what you got. Okay, so as awkward as it is, they should have shot this again, right? But we didn't shoot it. It ain't our video. We're gonna edit it as we can. So I'm gonna mark. I can either mark an endpoint or just leave the playhead here. But I might as well mark an endpoint so you guys see the math behind it. All right, so Dad's got his hand on the surfboard. Mark an endpoint for, if you're kind of going by eyeball here, it's about halfway through that clip, not even. All right, now I'm looking up here. I got 8:03 to work with. In other words, from endpoint to the end of the clip, there's 8 seconds and 3 frames. I have enough. Remember this 5:21? So it's going to mark an out point for us. Never, ever, ever mark 4 points. It's impossible. You can't do a 4-point edit. So that's why it's called a 3-point edit. 1, 2, 3. Now, when I make the edit this time, all right, what I'm going to do is, man, there's no audio in this clip. I'm looking at this clip thinking, all right, no audio. Huh. All right, I don't have a choice here. I was going to target audio tracks 3 and 4. Those little puzzle pieces. If you target those, then when you did your cutaway, the video would go up here and you'd hear the beach sound in the background. Okay? So that edit isn't going to happen. But maybe when you guys edit, you could try that. All right? You would have to take these little puzzle pieces. Let me pull one up that has actual audio in it. All right? So this one does. You see these little puzzle pieces? When you guys go to make your edits later on, all right, if you want to hear the audio that goes with the cutaway, and at the same time still hear Jim talking about, boy, all you have to do is slide these guys down, okay? And think about it. Your video will go up here, your audio will go down here, okay? So that's like FutureCast, because the one that I chose for the high five does not contain any audio. That's why you don't see those clips. So it's a good lesson for you. Now you maybe understand it, okay? So I'm going back to high five. There's my endpoint, no audio. I'm ready to make my edit. Do I have to lock my audio tracks? No, because there isn't any audio to go with it. So you can get away with one. When you do your overwrite, again, don't go direct to timeline, okay? That's going to come back and bite you. Discipline yourself to do the overwrite the old school way, kind of old fashioned, but fundamentally sound. When you do that, you got a pretty nice edit, right? When you play through this nasty jump cut at the end of your sequence.
At the sport, and the only thing I wanted to do was support them. So naturally,
And what happened was, when you put, you marked your ins and outs in the timeline, it made an out point for you. You can prove it. Take high five, double click it, and you will now see double dotted sprockets. That means this clip's already been used in the timeline. Doesn't mean anything. I mean, it means you still use it again. You can reload a new one and mark new ins and outs. But that's this indicator that, hey, the computer made an out point right there based on those ins and outs that I previously made in my timeline. Okay, now here's another thing you could do. You can take your arrow tool and say, I want a few more frames of this. This technically is like a ripple of sorts, but you're not surrounded by other clips. So don't try that down here. All right, don't. You're going to leave a gap. Not cool. So you're going to take any frames away down below. Make sure you're rippling with the ripple tool, double R. So that's the cool part about putting your cutaways up here. You can move them left, move them right, extend them, shorten them.
Support them.
Whatever you look.
So naturally.
What do you think it looks good?
I'm proud to have a 9-year-old son that.
Got it? All right. That was long, but I had to be thorough. Now what I want you to do the rest of this day is to cover up the remaining 1, 2, 3 jump cuts with a little bit of footage from these clips. See if you can figure it out. Okay, if you want to do it the way we did it previously, mark your ins and outs up here. Okay, and then put your playhead where you want the clip to go. All right, at a cut point or slightly before it. And then mess around. Try putting audio down below. You can't wreck it. This is the point where you learn. Okay? Now tomorrow you'll have an assignment when it counts. And there will be a series of things you have to do. I'll make a hard copy, make these edits, blah, blah, blah. And then I will also go in and put together a Google Classroom ABCD type of thing. So this will not take all hour, but I got wordy and trust me, I'm beat. This has not been a great day for yours truly. So I hope you guys have fun. Mr. Duval writes me the nicest notes. You guys can't believe the nice stuff he said about all the kids here. So he is my rock solid favorite sub. I worked at, he's a teacher and coach. He's from Kingsford. He worked at Escanaba. I used to coach against him in wrestling. Classy guy. So anyway, I want to pass those compliments on to you. So, all right, you guys, have a great Wednesday. See ya.